Hello there and welcome to Field Study, an exploration of food and the landscape. Huge bumblebee. Oh, come on. No, no. Out you go. Throughout my life I've always had a fascination with salt. It can heal you, preserve food, and it was used as a currency in these parts way before the language I'm speaking now was even born. I grew up in a village that sits perched on the edge of a cliff overlooking the sea as it dips and rolls its way towards the continent. My entire childhood can be characterised by the smell of salt in the air as it blows in, lands on my doormat, or lingers in the air as sea mist and paints the windows shut. So I guess for me the smell of salt is home. Simple as that. So as you can imagine, trying to bottle the sea isn't the easiest thing to do in the world. Quite often it has other ideas. When you're on a rocky coastline, there's a swell coming in and the tide's high. It's not the easiest thing to do. So my first bit of advice would be to get a receptacle to pour the stuff into the bottle if you're going to be bottling it in water bottles like I am. So I've cut the top off of another water bottle here to make a sort of beaker, but you could use a jug, use anything, just go prepared. I'm only doing a 1.5 litre batch for this demonstration just to speed things up a little bit, but it might actually be a pleasant surprise how much salt you can get out of 1.5 litres of seawater. So today we're going to be making sea salt, the basics of which is pretty simple. So we've got this lovely clear Isle of Wight seawater that I collected earlier, and we're basically going to evaporate all of the water off until the salt remains in the bottom of the pan. Now, there are a few tips and tricks that I've found to this. I'm by no means an expert, but just through doing some reading and stuff. So we're going to add our seawater to a hot pan and bring it to a nice rolling boil. So the best pan for this is a non-reactive, so not iron pan, with a nice wide open top like this stock pot that I've got here, purely because the more surface area you've got, the quicker the water can evaporate off the top of it, and the quicker we can get to making some salt. So let's get into tips and tricks for making salt. So tip number 1, to begin with, you want to start with a nice hard rolling boil and evaporate as much of the water off as you can. So this would leave you with a seawater with a high salinity, and yeah, so basically you just want to get as much water off as you can whilst the salt still remains in solution. You might be able to see some of the salt crystals forming on the surface of the water, and about that point it's time for tip number 2, and I'll get back to you as soon as we start to see the crystals forming. So tip number 2, once you've reduced it down by about half and got a really sort of dense, salty brine in there and evaporated off lots of the water, then what you want to do is slow it right down. Now when the salt crystals form, they form best slowly, okay? So if there is a lot of action and stuff in the water, then you will still get salt, but you'll get salt that is sort of caked together, and you're going to have to blitz it and stuff later. So it's the slow formation of the crystals that you'll be looking for. So tip number 2, finish slow. So a few hours have passed and we're starting to get these lovely big crystals forming on the bottom of the pan. So the heat is now off and it's just a process of letting everything dry out fully before scraping it off and removing it from the pan, ready to be dried out and then used. So tip number 3 is be patient. This takes a good long while. This is by far the quickest way that you can do this. There are other longer ways that I'll be exploring at another point, but be patient. Stick it on in the morning, have a potter around the house, do some admin, find a good book to read, lay in the sunshine, do all the good things that make you happy, and just have this on in the background with half an eye on it. And by the end of the day you'll have made something absolutely beautiful that you can be proud of and make good things with. What more could you want? So there we have it, beautiful flaky sea salt. If you enjoyed this or found it useful, please hit the like button and please hit subscribe for more delicious recipes and foraging videos. Take care.